It's Wednesday, the 4th of October, 2023. Welcome to the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, we have 5 big stories to get through today in 5 minutes, so we better get cracking. Story number 1, Reserve Bank Governor Michelle Bullock, in her first outing as Governor of the Central Bank, has left interest rates on hold, but, Sean, she has warned that at least one more increase might be necessary to stamp out inflation.
Bullock said the decision to keep rates on hold provides time for the bank to assess the impact of the increase in interest rates thus far and the outlook for the economy. While inflation in Australia has peaked, still too high and will remain so for some time yet, she said, highlighting the rapid increase in petrol prices since July. Bullock said recent data is consistent with inflation returning to the Reserve Bank's 2 to 3% target range in a couple of years' time. That assumes labour productivity starts to grow again. Now, if that doesn't happen, inflation in the labour-intensive services sector will remain entrenched at unsustainably high rates as businesses pass on higher wage costs through to higher prices.
Now, I know you watch all of this closely, Sean. How did Michelle Bullock go? Was there much change from her predecessor, Philip Lowe?
Well, no, not really. I suppose she was taught by Lowe, so we can't expect too much change too early. We'll see how things go as her governorship continues. The post-meeting statement is little changed, and that will satisfy investors and economists who like continuity. She, like Lowe, is worried that inflation is still too high and wary that the Reserve Bank has already lifted interest rates 400 basis points. In real terms, on a $600,000 loan, you're basically paying another $1,300 a month in mortgage payments. Bullock's worried that households, or at least some households, are starting to find things a bit tough. Bottom line, Michael, rates are on hold, but the Reserve Bank has a bias towards tightening.
All right, on to story number 2 now, and it was not a good day for local markets yesterday, with the S&P ASX 200 down 1.3%. It could have been worse, though, with equities off 1.5% in early trading.
Yeah, so it followed a sell-off on Wall Street reflecting higher bond yields rather than the Reserve Bank announcement. More on the bond yields shortly. The market hit its lowest level in 6 months, with the action on Wall Street really dominating trading. 10 of the 11 industry groups were in the red, with the energy and mining sectors both falling more than 2%. Companies like Woodside, Santos, Newcrest, WiseTech Global, BHP, Goodman, James Hardie, etc., all tumbled by 2% or more. The really good companies, the ones that outperformed, fell by 0.5%. It was quite amazing. The miners really were the hardest hit. Now, a lot of this is around bond markets. The yield on 10-year government bonds jumped 10 basis points yesterday to nearly 4.6%, its highest point since 2011. Why do we care about that? The value of equities is based in part on yields. If yields go up, the value of equities goes down. It's not much more complicated than that. That's the short way of thinking about it. Hence, with bond yields rising, and that's happening in the US and in Australia, it's actually making equities look a bit unattractive.
Okay, story number 3. It is hot in many parts of the country, Sean, which you would think arguably would not be good for energy consumption and greenhouse gas emissions as people kind of crank up the aircon. But, in fact, coal power generation in recent days has hit a new low.
The reason, Michael, is that rooftop solar output has surged with all the hot weather, putting energy into the grid. It means coal-fired generators just haven't been needed to the same extent as normal. In fact, coal power generation in the national electricity market fell to 7,440 megawatts at about 2 p.m. last Saturday. That's about 95 megawatts below the previous record. In fact, on Sunday, rooftop solar supplied more than 50% of total electricity demand. In Queensland and South Australia, it met 99.7% of total electricity demand from 1 p.m. till 1:30 p.m. Sunday. Pretty incredible. Obviously good news, much cleaner energy, but not so much for the coal-fired generators.
Yeah, indeed. Story number 4, the numbers are all in. Sean, viewership for the AFL and NRL grand finals made them the 5th and 7th most watched programs of the year.
And that's unusual because normally they both come in the top 3. Not this year, thanks to the Matildas and the Women's Football World Cup. The top 4 shows in 2023 were Matilda football games, led by the semi-final against England. Number 5 was the AFL Grand Final, which delivered 2.5 million Metro viewers for 7 on Saturday. Number 6 is the first Rugby League State of Origin match. Number 7 is the NRL Grand Final, with 1.85 million Metro viewers. I got some help from Umbrella for these numbers. What they really show is that in free-to-air land, sport is still king.
Yeah, it does sound like it. Last one, Sean. Story number 5. Shipments of Teslas globally have fallen for the first time in a year on the back of factory struggles.
Tesla shipped 435,000 cars around the world in the September quarter, which was below expectations and more than 9,000 less than the June quarter. Now, Tesla is preparing its factories to make a refreshed Model 3 sedan and a yet-to-be-released, but aptly named, Cybertruck. The company is still expected to manufacture more than 1.8 million cars this year.
All right, that's it. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It is Wednesday, the 4th of October, 2023. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. And if 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed Business News, wherever you listen to podcasts. And don't forget, every Wednesday, there's a new episode of our sister podcast, How Do They Afford That? We're all about making your money work a little bit harder for you. Today, we're taking a look at micro investing. And I'll put a link in today's show notes so that you can find that one easily. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.